Hello Bloomington, I'm Mayor Tim Bussey, and this is the Council Minute for the week of August 30th. Last week, the City Council held a special study session to discuss the budgeting process for next year, for 2022. And I'm glad to say that this year's budget discussion will be a lot different than last year's. As I'm sure you remember, last year the City Council and the city staff worked with a Community Budget Advisory Committee to make some tough decisions during a very challenging budget year. In 2020 and 2021, the city's budget dramatically reduced the number of employees by eliminating 23 positions and reducing services in a number of areas. This year, there are still challenges, but they are ones that are largely within the city's control, or at least are well defined, so we have some time to work through them. We are still projecting to be quite a bit below 2019, before the pandemic, for revenues from lodging tax and admissions tax. Those two tax revenues, mostly paid by people from outside the city of Bloomington who stay in our hotels or go on rides at Nickelodeon Universe, will likely be about $3 million less than what was collected in 2019. And while our staff has held the line on much of the budget for 2022, there are several areas that we need to address. And one of the most important is public safety, and specifically managing the continuing evolution of the Bloomington Fire Department. Bloomington Fire has provided tremendous service to this community for many decades. Founded as a volunteer fire department, most of the firefighters working for the city do so now on an on-call basis, meaning that they respond to call-outs from wherever they are at. And they aren't volunteers anymore. These on-call firefighters get paid for each call-out they respond to, and they earn pension credit, which can be collected after 20 years of service. Bloomington is the largest paid on-call fire department in the state of Minnesota. And frankly, with the growth in our city and the changing demographics in our community, it is a minor miracle that they've continued to be so successful. The biggest issue confronting the department is recruitment and retention. Our fire department is authorized for more than 175 firefighters with a goal of having 155. Currently, we have 108. That understaffing is a real concern. We had an assessment of the department done 2 years ago by a national expert, and while they gave Bloomington Fire a very positive review for its professionalism and its capabilities, they also identified the challenge of continuing to meet service expectations for response time and the necessary number of firefighters going to an event when our staffing complement is much lower than what's needed to ensure that response. Changes to the department's staffing model being proposed by the fire chief and our city manager will require about $1 million more from taxpayers in 2022 to operate the department. Now, in addition to making sure our fire department is able to meet their daily challenges, we have several other areas where increasing workload for city staff and increasing demands to address community issues will also be the focus of council discussion. The city manager has identified 9 staffing adjustments that need to be considered across the city in police department to better manage the workload in our property room, in the legal department to respond to compliance needs, and in other places like public health, finances, and planning, and to continue to advance strategic initiatives by the City Council, especially in the area of racial equity. Only one of the staffing recommendations, adding back a part-time position in our Human Resources Division, is restoring a reduction made a year ago. Staff and the council made the commitment to rework how we deliver services, and the budget maintains that commitment. The additions to the budget being considered are related to current and future demands. The city manager has recommended a preliminary tax levy increase of 3% in 2022. The council has to approve a preliminary levy amount in September to set the maximum amount of property taxes that can be collected. When we adopt our final budget and levy in December, we can reduce the levy, which we have done in most years, but we can't increase it. Last year, we increased the levy only 2.75%. That was the lowest levy increase in nearly a decade, and it was lower than nearly every other large city in the metro area. Based on information from 15 other cities that we often use as a comparison, if we set a preliminary levy increase for 2022 similar to what we adopted for 2021, it would be the lowest proposed levy increase among those 15 cities. Now, we don't take the taxing decisions we make lightly. We know that there are people in our community who are continuing to experience hardship as a result of the pandemic, or who have financial hardships that have been made worse by the pandemic. We're also encouraged that a good number of our community has weathered the worst of it. people aren't out of the woods yet. And the City Council knows that. As we work through our budget for 2022, we will continue to work with our staff to understand how the economy is affecting people and how the decisions we make will affect taxpayers. Back in November of 2019, the city initiated a new park system master plan. And after almost 2 years of very impressive work by staff in the community, the plan is now complete. On Monday night, the City Council adopted the park system master plan. The process was outstanding. It was purposeful and it was robust. It captured the voices of Bloomington residents, and it included several studies to better understand how Bloomington can provide new park amenities and experiences. Natural resources, trails, new park amenities, and equity are all priority themes that will be addressed with the new plan. Community participation in park projects is not over. As new park projects are considered, we want to hear from the community again to plan individual parks. Thank you to Bloomington Park staff, in particular Renee Clark, and to our consultants who worked on the project, and a big thank you to you, the community, for your thoughtful participation in this process. Next week is the start of school here in Bloomington. It's an exciting time for many families, and it's also the third school year that we're navigating the realities of COVID-19. Hats off to the Bloomington Public Schools for their planning efforts and for their ability to adapt as conditions change. On Tuesday, they adapted their plan to require masks in all of their facilities for all students and staff. This was absolutely the right call for the health and safety of everyone in our schools, and I applaud the decision. These decisions are tough yet necessary in the current environment of more contagious variants. I know how hard staff, school leadership, the school board, and parents are working to make this school year a success for the youth in our community. Thank you for all of that hard work, and I wish everyone the best of luck this school year. That will do it for this week's Council Minute. Thanks for your time. Enjoy the long holiday weekend, and until next time, stay safe, Bloomington.